Hey guys, it's Warren again. A lot of people have been really asking me, and this is a really long overdue tutorial on how to make characters for this game. Well, to be honest, I'm here to show you that, but I'm gonna make it really simple and not so complicated. So this is more of a beginner's guide, and then I'm gonna plan on doing an advanced guide in the next video, which is quote unquote soon. So let's get started. Now you're probably wondering where people are getting the characters. Well, here is one example. On cultrecords.net, yes, you can clearly see they have download files available for you for each character and their animations and even a sprite sheet, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Our main focus today is to actually put animations into a character format and not rip them from a sprite sheet. I will save that for later. So, out of all these characters, I really never saw Viola Cavardini and as an actual character in the game, so I'm just going to use her as an example. So what I usually do is, whenever I'm looking for characters that already have animations, I just go to the zip file, just click on that, and it's actually already downloaded. So if you have a zip file, a program that can open zip files, that's basically what you need. If not, I'm pretty sure you can get WinRAR or WinZip for free. It's not a problem. So we're just going to open this up, and you're not going to pay for this because you will never pay for this at all, even though it tells you to. So you get this list of animations here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to extract it, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract it right into a preset folder I made before I started this video, and I'm actually going to put it in here. So once you do that, I'm just going to click OK. Now, once we get that out of the way, we really don't need this anymore, so we're going to minimize it, but we will be using it for later. So what we want to do is you want to go to the folder where you extracted it. Now this is kind of the important part is you actually have to rename these if you're getting these from courtrecords.net, because how the Attorney Online program works is that you want to make sure you put the letter first. So I'm going to zoom in right here. I know this is kind of boring, but it's going to tell you, hey, I need to do this if I want to make a character. So I'm actually going to pause the video and rename all of these. And now that we're back, we actually have all these animations renamed. Now you're probably wondering what the letter A and the letter B stand for, and I'm just gonna actually write it out here. The A is for idle animation, and what I mean by that is that if the character is not talking, then this animation is going to play. And now, once we get that out of the way, we're just gonna go to we're going to talk about what the letter B does, and that's this talking animation, aka that's when the mouth is supposed to be moving. So, I know you guys are not stupid, but I just want to make sure you guys get this and make sure you know it before you actually start making the character. And believe it or not, for a simple character like this, you are almost done. Now, like I said before in the previous tutorial, I'm not in the previous tutorial, I'm sorry, but I'm going to save the advanced character creation for later. We just want to get the simple stuff out of the way. So once you get that done, you want to make sure you go into the character file. Now as you can clearly see, I actually copied this file from the Larry Butts folder, but we're just going to rename some stuff real quick. This is the easiest way I have in order to get the character file into a new character. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to zoom in right here. You want to make sure when it says name, you want to make sure it's the same name as the folder. That's really important. If not, the file's not going to recognize that you actually have a new character. Now, you want to make sure, like I said before, the name, that's the same name as the folder. Not anything else, you don't name it whatever you want. It's what you named the folder. Now the side, this is WIT, that's for witness side, but if you ever wanted to do a defense attorney, you want to go defense. If you wanted a prosecutor, you go prosecutor. A judge would be judge, and then helpful defense, that's the co-defense, and then HLP is the co-prosecutor. But since Viola is a witness type character, we're just going to leave it as witness. Now, you're probably wondering why it says time and normal equals 0. I'm actually going to save that for another tutorial, but right now, since this character is so simple to make, let's not worry about it. For emotions, remember in the previous tutorial where you had to tell your server saying, hey, this is how many characters I want, and this is how much evidence I want? Well, it's kind of the same situation here. This is how many emotions you want, or how many animations a character has. Since Viola only has 3, as you can see over there, we're only going to do 3. So we're going to type in 3. We're actually going to remove these 3 right up here. right up here. And we're actually going to rename these. And now you're asking, Aaron, what do you rename them as? Well, here's I'm going to go into detail. The first part right here, I'm going to be dead serious. Do not worry about what you want to name it. You can rename it shitfuck for all I care, and nobody's going to notice. So you don't really want to worry about this part. It's really more of a description type thing for anyone who wants to edit the file. Honestly, don't bother with it. Now the second file is the right here. Now this is the animation that's going to play when the character has a pre-animation, or it wants to object or hold it or take that, then this animation is going to play. I'll get more into detail in a bit, but for now you want to focus on this part. This is basically the animation that plays in the folder. You remember how I renamed those GIF files? Well, this is the animation that's going to play right here every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this and make it normal, so that this right here is going to equal this. And I can't draw. So once we get that out of the way, I'm going to pause the video and finish renaming these. And we're back. I actually made a couple of changes while the video was paused, but we'll get to that in a bit. So pretty much what I did was that I renamed all of this to make sure they match over here. And about sound N and sound T, honestly, we're not going to cover that right now because this character is kind of plain and simple. I'm going to cover that in another tutorial. So what I also did here is that, and this is where you got to pay attention because people, server owners like me, get really pissed off if you screw this up, is that you kind of see how I have the new files but without the letters. That is because I copied the B versions of these and renamed them to this. And the reason why I did that is because whenever a character objects or has a pre-animation, it's going to play this, and it plays the file without the letter in front of it. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because if a file like that doesn't exist, you get the freeze error where someone objects and someone else has to talk in order to fix it. That's because 75% of the people who make these characters always forget to do that, and it's really frustrating because they think you broke it when you didn't. So it's always good to also double check these when people send you characters, because I know I've messed it up in the past. So remember, if you're going to make an animation, make sure you do this. I cannot stress that enough. I'm just going to keep repeating it, because at least one person screws it up, and it's somehow your fault. So now that we got that out of the way, we actually don't need this anymore. So we're just going to save it, and we're going to close it. So almost done here actually. So now you see what it says emotions? You know how when you play a character it's got icons that tell you what the animation does? We are actually going to make that. Now this is how I do it. Everyone has their own separate ways of doing it, but here's what I do. I actually open Microsoft Paint. And this is a kind of a weird way to do it, but I'm just going to zoom in here and show you. You want to make sure you make a 40 by 40 image of the character's face or whatever animation you're doing. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to actually resize it. I'm going to go by pixels. Now you've got to make sure for emotion icons, they are 40 by 40. Now once you do that, you copy it, Control C. You start a new file. You do not save it, and you paste it here. So once you do that, you want to click Save As. Now we're just going to go back into that folder with Viola in it. We're going to go into the emotions, and this is really important. It's got to be a PNG file stated at the bottom. PNG. It's not going to accept a JPG or a GIF. It's got to be PNG. So once we do that, it's going to be button 1/off because you're assuming this button is not selected. So once you do that, we're going to click Save. Now here's how I do it to make sure the user knows it's selected, is that I actually draw an X like this, and then I also do it like this. And once you do that, you click Save As, and you're going to do button 1 on. So once you do that, that's pretty much how you make an icon. So I'm going to pause the video again. I'm going to do it for the other two animations because it's really important just for me to watch you repeat it if you already saw it the first time. And we're back again. Now, I kind of finished making the emotion icons for this, but I'm just gonna open these up real quick because the crying animation and her laughing animation look really similar. So I'm just gonna show you a tip I did is that button 2, this is her crying animation. So instead of copying the image from the GIF file, I kind of just made my own to say QQ. And for actual animation, I just made that because why not? So anyways, while there are idiots screaming in the hallway behind me, just ignore that. So once you get that done, you also want to make sure that the button 1 is equal to normal, and button 2 is her crying animation. You should kind of get what I'm saying. And button 3 is her laughing animation. So you got to make sure you get the button numbers right because button 1 is going to play number 1, button 2 is going to play number 2, and button 3 is going to play number 3. Pretty self-explanatory. Now we are almost done here. So we actually have to make her character roster icon. So one way to do that is to actually have it open right here. Is that if you want a good character icon, you want to go to court records. What I do is I go to characters, and then I go find who Viola is somewhere right here. Now the files on here are actually corrupted. So what I do is I actually use the print screen button on the keyboard. You hit that, and what I do is that I open Paint, I do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually zoom in and carefully select that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be neat, I think. And then I'm going to copy that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, New, don't save, do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this image and make sure it's 60 by 60. That's the size of the character icons in the game. So you got to make sure it's 60 by 60, otherwise it gets cut off. So once you do that, you want to go to File and Properties. You want to change the width and the height to 60, 60. Remember, the emotion icons are 40 by 40. The character roster icons are 60 by 60. So it's important to remember that. So once you do that, you want to go File, Save As. And most people, and this is perfectly fine, they can paste it in the character folder, and I'll show you where to put that in a bit. So once you do that, I'm going to type Viola character icon. Now this is the icon where the character is not being taken, and it's got to be a PNG file. So once you do that, you click Save. Now just like I did with the emotion icons, I'm going to actually make a this character is taken icon. So I'm just going to do that. Remember, you can do this however you want. This is how I do it, and nobody's complained. And even if they do complain, I really wouldn't give a shit. So once you do that, you want to go to File, Save As. You're going to go to Viola character icon chosen. Now hopefully you can read that. If not, I can just retype it up and put it in the description. So once you do that, you click Save. Now one final step is you close this. We don't need this anymore. Now you see these icons? I'm going to show you where they go. So once you do that, you can just copy it. Now, assuming my character folder is already in my main game folder, I'm going to go to Client, I'm going to go to Base. Then I'm going to go to Miscellaneous, and then Demo Things, and you paste it here. And once you get the character folder in there, congratulations, you now have an installed character. And you actually made your very first character, hopefully, assuming I taught you properly. So there you have it. This is a simple version of how to make a character. I can get into more advanced detail and the other stuff later, but if you ever want to make a character with vectors, then this tutorial's for you. So there you have it. So if you have any other questions, just message me on Skype. You can post a comment about it. Depending on how polite you are about it, I will help you or I will not help you. So I hope you learned something. So I hope you have a good day and stay tuned for my next tutorial.